Something that you would recommend dealers do, just have you ever been blindsided by your competition? Is there any examples that you have that you can point to that you would recommend others do?
That's a pretty tough question. Actually, it's really trying to stay ahead of the curve. I think that's probably one of the biggest aspects we do. We create the curve, I feel like. We set the bar pretty high, and everybody else has to catch and constantly keep up with it. So specifically, I don't know of anything that really, that I could point to say that.
That's fine, yeah. Is anyone else?
Yeah, I've got something to add. During that 10 years that I was telling you about that we were chasing our tails, we were also watching the competition, trying to be like the competition or trying to beat the competition. And honestly, it finally got to a point where I had to say, you know what? I've got to do my own thing. I've got to focus on my company and my people and stop worrying about what the competition's doing. Now, do I keep tabs on them? I do in certain ways. My competition likes to post on social media, and so there's different apps and stuff that you can watch and see, and it'll ring my phone and it'll say such and such did this, and such did that. And you're looking, and they've got these great projects that they're doing. But we've also come to the understanding that there's plenty of business out there, and we're not the only game in town, and we're going to have competitors, whether it's a former employee or whether it's just somebody that's been in the market for a long time. Do we want that business? Absolutely. And are we going to give up easily? No, we're not. But when we see that a competitor has landed a project that we didn't, or we didn't get a chance to bid on, then we go back and we ask ourselves why. Why didn't we get a chance to bid on that? What relationships do we not have that allow us to get those kinds of projects that our competition's picking up? So you're going to have competition. Don't let them get in your way. Keep an eye on them if you want to, but don't try to be them. You need to do your own thing.
Yeah. One of the things that you brought up during that was former employees becoming competition. Has anyone ever experienced that in the audience? A former employee becoming competition? Yeah, okay. And so what can you do? And I'll start with Sid, because we talked about this on 10 TV. What can you do to keep them from becoming your competition? I know that I don't know that you've even had that happen, or have you?
We've had competition, right? So I mean, I'm in a room full of competition right now, right? Potentially. When I was making notes for this and kind of jotting together my thoughts of, how can I best communicate to everybody, I think about sports and teams and players. And I read this article, and it's dated now because the Olympics is done, but it's on Usain Bolt, fastest man, right, hands down. And when you're running like this, straight ahead, and take your time to look back. Somebody else might pass you up, but you have to have kind of awareness of what's going on around you when you're moving. And that's even internal awareness as well too. So when it comes to competition, sometimes we create our own internal competition, and we create people within our company that want to be able to compete against us, because I think we've mentioned here, and I think people will agree, that you've got to have a vision, a joint vision that people can adopt and that they can believe in. And if your employees aren't on the same page as you, they will become your competition. You will be training your competition, but that's all right. You can do the things that you do. There's plenty of business that's out there. I think that you shouldn't be afraid of it. You should never encourage it. I think that when everybody has distinct roles in the company of what they do, they value those roles. Speaking for myself, we have had an employee in the past, and he went and he started his own tent shop and whatnot, and it never bothered us because in terms of competition and volume, it wasn't there. But what it allowed me to see is that we have distinct roles. What I do, my employees can't do effectively. If they attempt to do it effectively, they won't be able to tent. I have a distinct role. Just like our receptionist has a distinct role, our PBF person has a distinct role. So you try to separate those roles so that way it's a true teamwork environment. People are relying on one another and they trust one another to do that function. And I think that internally minimizes that chance where you'll be, basically inspiring your own competition. But, what do they say about imitation, or people that want to get started? So people will be inspired by what you do, and beyond anything else, it's flattering that they do so, and you should be in a position that's solid where you'll be able to weather that if they do enter your market.
Anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, actually, I would like to add to that. First of all, competition is good. There's probably plenty of people out there that have won jobs or awarded jobs that didn't exist if it weren't for their competitor generating the awareness for that job, or actually going out and developing the job. Lord knows we've lost plenty of jobs. So that we've gone out there and invested in, it happens, and that's okay. And as far as the employee thing, I think you can't stop it. You shouldn't try to stop people from, if they want to do something, they're going to go do it. At the end of the day, I can't speak for anybody else on this panel, but we at NGS, we try to really sort of empower people to reach their potential, the maximum earning potential that they can reach, the maximum professional potential, and we support them to do that. And if that's not what they want to do and they want to leave, then that's their prerogative. So far, that philosophy and that strategy for us, has worked. In other words, if people are happy where they are, they're not going to look to go somewhere else. You can't put in every type of angle or mechanism to try to stop somebody from wanting to go out and do what they want to do. You just kind of have to create the best environment for them to be in. That's my 2 cents.
Anyone else want to add to that? Okay. So one of the trends that I've seen as Window Film Magazine editor has been the growth of the decorative film market. There's lots of opportunities, lots of glass inside buildings that could use decorative film, and decorative film really can compete in terms of aesthetics with decorative glass. And so lots of suppliers popping up, even some tint shops are becoming national suppliers of decorative film products, printed window film. And so I'll start with Eddie, because Eddie is very experienced in this. If you watch the latest episode of TV, you see it. So Eddie, what made you recognize this, and why do you think it's such a great avenue for growth? And we'll start there.
I'm not sure I recognized it, but we had an opportunity about 15 years ago to do our first printed window film job. The design was just too complicated to plot. You couldn't do it. And they wanted various shades of white ink on a clear polyester film, and we didn't have a solution, so I found a printer that agreed to load it up with window film and print it for us. So what was beautiful about this, it was about a $150,000 job at $15 a square foot, okay? And I told him, I said, look, this is all custom film, and you're gonna have to buy all the film up front. And this is 80% material, 20% labor, and it was gonna take about 9 weeks to do the job, because that's as fast as they could build the building. And so they wrote me a check for like 125 grand up front, in November or December. That was nice, to get paid in advance, as opposed to getting paid so late. But and that was a good thing. We trademarked the product Infinite Optics, and so now we call on architects, and we try to get every job to be printed film. And it's Casey mentioned to you that I was in an accident. I flipped my Polaris 5 weeks ago. And so that afternoon in the hospital that I was released by the doctors, I was released twice, once by the doctors and once by a contractor. We won $1,250,000 printed window film job 3 weeks ago. And that's a nice job to have November, December, January. But the architects now know that we can print window film that looks like that wall covering, window film that looks like the picture, window film that looks like anything. We do it all in-house. And the buildings that are being built now, the glass has got such a low shading coefficient, we're not getting to do the solar film on the new building. But the oil company that moves into 20 floors, we're getting to do that decorative film. And that's an important thing. There's no return on investment asked for with decorative window film. You don't have to do an energy study. It's a silly thing, making something pretty. That's what you want to be in right there. And to an earlier question about what's the best relationship, is your company needs to be, yes, it's important to have relationship with your film supplier. Mine, as the case, is 3M. Another valuable supplier for me is the CBON people, which that's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that. But the important relationship is with your customers. A guy that's not the owner of the company or the manager of the company, but the installer, he's going to be in the millionaire's home all day long. okay? You were in there for an hour to sell the job, your office called to schedule it, but then you got guys out there that may not have finished high school that are gonna be installing the window film for Miss Gotrocks, okay? And they have all the power at that point. They're gonna determine whether the neighbor calls you or her friend calls you or not, okay? So it's really important to, make sure that your staff knows that whatever it takes, we're gonna make people happy, period, okay? They wanna add on a window, let's do it, we'll settle up later, okay? They wanna come back, they want us there earlier, whatever it takes, you have to maximize that relationship, because you've spent all that money to get on the job, to get the sale, now make them happy. And so when you go out to dinner, when you get your yard mowed, when you rent a car, when you check into a hotel, when people provide services for you, evaluate them.